Alright guys, today is an episode of the best of the rest, so without further ado we'll start off with Arsenal managing to win 4-2 at Villa Park. And yeah, it was a game where Arsenal definitely struggled, especially in the first half, with Villa taking the lead through Ollie Watkins early on in the game. It was a brilliant run by Matty Cash and a really well taken finish from Watkins. However, I think you could point the finger a little bit at William Saliba in this case because he has the option to put pressure on Watkins and push him away from goal, but instead Saliba decides to hold his position, which allows Watkins to get back on himself, sort of, and go back towards goal. But he still has to beat Saliba, so Saliba is banking on Watkins not being able to get past him, but Watkins does, and it's a really good finish with his weak foot. Arsenal equalised with a brilliant goal from Bukayo Saka, really good first time half volley finish. And then Villa took the lead again, this time through Coutinho. And this goal, you saw from Arsenal a lack of intensity to press from the front. I think the attack and the midfield had options to put pressure on the Aston Villa players on the ball, but instead Villa just sliced through them, straight through the centre, play it out wide, it comes back to the centre, fire a little dummy from Buendia, I think it was, and it's a really good finish from Coutinho. He sort of gives the defender in front of him, I think it was Gabriel and Ramsdale, he gives both of them the eyes and puts it in the opposite corner. And from then on I thought, okay, Aston Villa, they look good under Unai Emery. They have done in the past couple of months. And I think Emery's starting to make a difference. I think they're certainly a better side than they were under Steven Gerrard this season. I think Gerrard had a good season relatively last year, but this season it wasn't going well. But Emery's turned their fortunes around. It's like he's taken them out of a relegation battle into sort of like just mid-table for this season, I think. And I thought there's a chance they could hold on to this here, but Arsenal, to be fair to them, they kept pushing forward, kept going, and were unlucky not to equalise through Eddie Nketiah, who hit the bar. Nketiah's finishing over the past few games has been a little bit lacking, I think. He's been getting in good positions, but the goals just dried up for him a little bit over the past couple of weeks, but he was on a ridiculously good run of form before that, so I think it's to be expected, really. They got the equaliser through Zinchenko, really smart short corner. And Zinchenko as well is another player who I thought anyway, his performances had dropped off in the past couple of weeks, but in this game he played well, took his goal really well. Really good low driven shot into the bottom corner. Again, he sort of put it in the opposite, like Coutinho, he put it in the opposite corner to what I think everyone was expecting him to go with. He went for the near bottom corner rather than the far post. So yeah, really smart finish. And Arsenal, they kept pushing. Villa, there was a couple of occasions where they got them on the counter-attack with Leon Bailey and John Duran, both substitutes, but they failed to take advantage of it. And Arsenal managed to get the winner through Jorginho and slice of luck as well. It was Emi Martinez's own goal in the end. It was just one of them where there's absolutely nothing he can do about it, and it's a good strike from Jorginho. He slices it a little bit, but you know it was a good effort, and it's one of them where it's hit the post, bounced off the back of Martinez, who's just dived to try and save it. And the fourth goal, which is the one that Unai Emery wasn't happy about, with Martinez going forwards in the last minute of the game in stoppage time. And to me, I can understand why Martinez went forward, because in that moment you're losing 3-2. If you're drawing, I understand it, but if you're losing, you have nothing to lose anyway. So if Martinez goes up, it either allows him to potentially get an opportunity to score, or it takes the defender's concentration on someone else, and you know, it's just an extra body in the box. So I don't understand why Emery was so angry with it. I guess he's ignored instructions, but for me, I think Martinez was right to go forward, and Martinelli obviously took advantage of that having like half the pitch to himself to score. And then Fulham managed to win at the Amex against Brighton in a game that was quite funny, to be honest, because Fulham just didn't have a kick for about 85 minutes. They had about, I think, 1 or 2 shots in that entire period. Brighton completely dominated. The first half was a bit dull, to be honest, but there was absolutely nothing going for Fulham. It was all defending, and their defenders, in fairness, did play really well. Tim Ream, Issa Diop, both absolutely rock solid at centre back. And Tim Ream is a player I owe an apology to, because I thought at the start of the season he was going to be a weak point in this Fulham team. And after the first few games, I thought that I was slightly being proven right, because I think even though Fulham were in good form, he was the one who was usually letting them down occasionally. But over the past 3 or 4 months, he's really, upped his game, I think, from what I've seen of him. And yeah, another really good performance today, not today, on Saturday from him. And yeah, Brighton kept pushing forwards. They got more intense in the second half for the first half an hour or so. And they had chances. They had the ball in the back of the net from debutant Facundo Buonanotte, I think that's how you say it, Buonanotte. And it was just offside. Dennis Undav had gone a little bit too early. And Undav didn't have his best game, to be honest. It was a bit of what you expect from Neil Maupay for Brighton performance, where he gets in good positions, but he just can't make the most of them. And yeah, this performance as a whole from Brighton, it's the sort of performance you'd expect from Brighton, like maybe 2 years ago under Graham Potter, where they played well, but just somehow lose 1-0 still and can't put the ball in the back of the net. Like everyone remembers when Brighton were something like, I think, 12th in the league, but in like the XG table they were something like 4th or something ridiculous. It was a bit like that this game. There weren't many players who played badly for Brighton. It was just bad luck and failure to take chances more than anything else. But Fulham, they took their chance when they got it. They banked on being able to get a counter-attack late on in the game. That's why they brought on Manor Solomon, I think. And it was actually really good play as well. A lot of people haven't noticed this, but the other substitute who they brought on, Carlos Vinicius, who has received a bit of stick this season for his failure to really do a great job of standing in for Mitrovic when Mitrovic hasn't been available. But he more than did a job for Fulham in this game. It was brilliant hold-up play when the ball came to him, and it's a really good turn to get away from the defender and a nice ball to slide it through between the right back and the centre back for Brighton. And Manor Solomon uses his speed to get away from the rest of the defence, and really good shot with his left foot into the bottom corner. And yeah, that was enough to win the game for Fulham in the end. And yeah, I think this result took Fulham above Brighton into 6th. So, this is a big result for Fulham. They're currently in a European spot. And I think there's a good chance that one of these two teams, come the end of the season, does get 7th in the league. I'm hoping my team, Liverpool, can somehow, at some point, catch up and hopefully get top 4. But I think behind the 5 this season, if we call it, you've got the top 4 as it is, well, top 5 as it is currently. Newcastle and Tottenham keep swapping between 4th and 5th. And then you've got 2 Manchester clubs and Arsenal above that. And then you've got below them 5, you've got 2 European spots, which are definitely available. I'd expect Liverpool to take one of them, but it'll be interesting to see which of these 2 teams, or possibly even Brentford, or even if Chelsea can get themselves together and get some more points on the board, more wins, which they're failing to do at the minute. Then it'll be interesting to see who can get the remaining European spots. I'm going to have a prediction, and I'm going to say that Liverpool take one of them, wherever it may be. I'm hoping 4th, and I'll go with Fulham to get 7th, just because I think even when they don't play well, they can still pick up points, which I don't think Brighton do as well. And then the final game I wanted to cover today was Tottenham versus West Ham. And this was a game where, again, Tottenham, as you'd expect at home against a team lower down in the table, they did dominate the game, but you just never thought that they were actually going to create an opportunity where it was like going to be, I don't know, a clear chance. And you were starting to think, is it going to be Tottenham's day? And it just wasn't falling for them. West Ham, though, there wasn't a lot going on for them either. I think they had a couple of half chances for Jarrett Bowen, but other than that, there wasn't a lot created by them. And Tottenham, they were playing in the opposition's half, but just weren't getting the chances. The first half, the highlight of it was the questionable handball from Thilo Kehrer. And for me, it's not handball. I thought the Souček one against Chelsea was a definite handball, but for me, this one, you can clearly see Kehrer stumble and put his arm down beforehand, and you know it's clearly not intentional, and it's not blocking a shot either. So for me, I know it's blocking a pass to Kane, who can then get a shot off, but for me, it's not handball. I just think common sense says that he is trying to stand up, and it's just purely accidental. And then, Tottenham, second half, it slowed down a little bit, and yeah, it wasn't falling for them. But it's the two wing backs in Ben Davies and Emerson Royal who combined, and to be honest, you'd have got a lot of money if you'd have predicted that before the game, because that doesn't happen very often, and it's not very often Ben Davies actually gets into a position like that, because it's the first time in a while I've seen him play as a wing back. In fact, I can't remember many occasions I've seen him play wing back. Like when he plays in a team that plays three at the back, he's usually the third centre back on the left, like he has done for Wales for so many years. But he did really well to create the opportunity, and Emerson Royal took it really well. Just kept his head, kept his cool, and just passed it into the bottom corner. In the end, he made it look like an easy finish, but he was under pressure. And in the end, that was enough to win the game for Tottenham. They got a second through Heung-min Son, a typical Heung-min Son finish with a pass through from Harry Kane, and Son seems to be a lot more confident when he plays now. Like, he didn't even start today's game, but as soon as he came onto the pitch, he just looked like he was under less pressure, because at the start of the season it just felt like he was trying to rush everything or do too much. But since he's had a couple of goals in the FA Cup, it seems to have done him the world of good. And he still has scored more goals from the bench somehow this season in the Premier League. I think he's only scored one goal when he started, and that was against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, if I remember correctly. But that should do him good. And Harry Kane actually missed a couple of really good chances for Tottenham today. Obviously, he broke the record recently for the most goals for Tottenham of all time, breaking Jimmy Greaves' record, which is an amazing achievement. And I think he would have liked a goal in this game, but he didn't get it. It just wouldn't really fall for him in this game. But Tottenham, it's a big win for them, and it's a massive defeat for West Ham as well. Not because of it's a game they should have won or anything, but because of the fact that all their rivals in the relegation zone, the teams below them, Southampton, Everton, and even Bournemouth, they all got 3 points the day before on Saturday. So, this is fastly becoming a bit of a dangerous situation for West Ham. For Tottenham, though, they're back in the top four at the moment as it stands, but they need to maintain some consistency if they're going to stay there, I think, because there are teams who are going to look to catch them up, and it will be difficult for them. They've got some tough games coming up, I think, in the league. But anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.